Hey everybody, this is Yvonne from the Jelly Roll Club. This is a quick project overview for those people who are using the method with templates. So let's get started. If you're making this double wedding ring with templates, this presentation will give you an overview of what you need to get started for month 1. But if you've never used templates before, if you have never made a double wedding ring quilt before, please consider making a table runner to get enough experience to tackle a full-sized quilt. Before you begin, you're going to have to go over to the website, go to www.jellyrollclub.com, download a copy of the double wedding ring templates and the cutting guide, and I've put a couple of images on here so you know what you're looking for. Before you start cutting anything, you need to gather your supplies. One of the things that you're going to need to think about is what colors or fabric you're going to use. Make sure that you pick a fabric that has a lot of contrast. So if you look at this quilt, it has a bright orange solid in the back, and they've used all types of scrappy pieces. This is a very traditional looking quilt in the 1930s. They saved all the scraps from their clothing to piece all the little arcs, and they would often save up money to buy fabric for the background. Double wedding rings look best when those setting squares pop, and so in this case they did 2 colors, but you could also do them with the same scrappy fabric as the rest of the arcs, so the choice is yours. Let's look at the next slide. So, if you're making the double wedding ring with templates, you're going to need to cut a lot of pieces. This chart gives you a list of how many pieces of each type, and these are labeled on the template. So the template will say block centers, they'll say arc inside, arc end R, arc end L, arc wedges, and 2.5-inch squares. So for example, a wall hanging will have a total of 4 blocks in a 2x2 layout, and so you're going to need 184 pieces to complete a wall hanging. If you're making a king-size quilt, you're going to need 2,255 pieces. I've made a couple of king-size double wedding rings, and they take a good part of the year, so it took me at least a year to make the last king-size double wedding ring quilt. So give yourself ample time. Depending on the size that you want, this is an investment in time. So please consider what size you're going to make before you get started. Let's look at the template. So if you look on the left-hand side, the template is labeled. For example, arc wedge. In order to come to class prepared, you're going to need to bring 8 wedge pieces. They're called arc wedge, labeled on the template. You're going to need 2 of R and L pieces, which are on the end, and those are mirror images. Before you cut anything though, please check that your test square measures 1-inch square. So measure each of the sides, and these should measure 1 inch before you cut any fabric out. You're going to need 2 2.5-inch squares and 1 inside arc piece. And so those are the basic pieces that you need to get started. I will have a separate video that shows you how to prepare templates with freezer paper before you begin cutting. If you have never used templates before or have done the freezer paper method, I'm going to be demoing these in a separate video. This is an overview of what you're going to need for class 1. So for class 1, you're going to need to have R and L pieces for the ends of your arc, and you're going to need 4 wedge pieces. The other pieces need to be cut out, so please refer to the chart so you know how many pieces to start cutting. You can do this in a cut-as-you-go method, so if you prefer to work in small chunks at a time, and that's more manageable for you, that works as well. These are the steps that are going to be demonstrated in later months. So for example, in month 2, we're going to join our arcs to the inner arc, this little shape right here that looks like a football. So the outer arc is going to get joined to this inner arc, and then we're going to join the 2.5-inch pieces on the ends of 1, and we're going to join them together in month 3. In month 4, I'm going to show you how to form what's called a block, and a block has 2 footballs and 1 of these center squares. But as we go, I'm always going to demo, and I'm going to have videos for you so you can see what's happening. In the last session, we will learn how to join your blocks together to finish the top. And as you notice, these blocks are joined in this curvy shape. But one important tip, please do not press any of your blocks. And that's going to be really hard for those of you who love to press your blocks as you go. In this particular case, it stretches and distorts your block. So I'm going to ask you not to press anything until your top has been completely assembled. So please do not press your blocks. Press your fabric before you sew, but once you sew the pieces together, we are not pressing them. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the little red bell, the red and black bell, to subscribe. This will notify you when we post new videos. Our meeting schedule on Zoom is found at jellyrollclub.com, or you can check the Facebook page at Jelly Roll Club, and that's how you stay informed about what's happening. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.